hold off for a minute or so because I had a very important person who walked into the studio, and it's somebody I cannot just say no to. Somebody I would definitely love to hear from. Somebody Biafrans all around the world would definitely love to hear from. Wherever you are hearing the sound of my voice, it is to Radio Biafra, Middle East, and you can be rest assured that Biafra is rising. All right, let's get straight to it. Who do I have here in the studio? Her name is Flair Hassan Nahum. Did I get it right?
You did, and very few people in this country do, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, do you want to know who this person is? She is the deputy mayor of Jerusalem. My goodness me. Foreign relations.
Yes.
I am honored.
I'm honored to be here. I love the work that you do, and you represent a very important community.
Thank you very much. This is an interview that I will probably schedule for a year to get, you know.
I'll come back.
I probably won't even get it. But my goodness me, I am so blessed, you know, to be speaking to you this morning. So tell me a bit about you. Go ahead.
So I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Gibraltar, which is a British colony in southern Spain.
I can hear the accent.
And yeah, it's a colonial accent, right? My mother is actually from Morocco.
Okay.
And I grew up in a Sephardi Jewish family. When I was 18, I went to England to study. I'm a lawyer by profession.
Wow.
And then 18 years ago, my husband and I decided that we wanted to come and live in Israel. I'm very excited about the fact that we have our own country after 2,000 years, that we have self-determination as Jewish people. And this was very important to me, and I'm very proud that my 4 children were born here, and they're born Israel.
Absolutely. So you are a lawyer.
I'm a lawyer.
And that is my passion.
Don't hold it against me.
No, it's my passion. I'm a third-year student, University
Where?
of South Africa.
Amazing.
I'm doing LLB law.
That's great. I have
2
an
years to
LLB.
go. You have an LLB?
I do. I have an LLB because I studied in London.
My goodness me.
I did law, and I worked in it for a couple of years, and I didn't want to continue.
Okay.
But I will say something about being a lawyer. First of all, it trains you to think in a certain way.
Absolutely.
And the second thing, it opens many, many doors in any job you want.
Absolutely.
Because people automatically assume that when you're a lawyer, you're smart.
Absolutely.
Not all lawyers are smart.
You consult.
But in our case, it's true.
Consult. You know what they say about lawyer, what they tell us? They say it's not the best lawyer that wins the case. It's the one that consults the statutes, the law books before you go to your case.
It's the people that know the sources.
Absolutely.
And they know how to build an argument. You also have to know how to build an argument.
You're right.
And that's what trained me to be a politician. The law gave me that discipline of building an argument.
I can imagine you arguing there in the Knesset.
I argue in the Jerusalem City Council a lot.
All right. So you are a deputy mayor of Jerusalem.
Yes.
So tell me, what is your work?
Well, my work involves a number of things. Jerusalem, as you know, is not just the capital city of the State of Israel,
Absolutely.
but it's kind of the center of the world.
Absolutely.
Center of the religious world, center of the Jewish world. So I feel very privileged to be in that position. So my position involves a number of things: diplomatic ties with other cities around the world, philanthropy coming into the capital, making sure that it's strategic for the good of the city. It also involves work in tourism. I would love to be able to do a tourist campaign in your countries, in Biafra, so to get people to come.
I'm glad you mentioned the name. We don't get people talk Biafra. Did you hear that? You say, let me hear you say it again.
Biafra.
There you go.
So I want the Biafrans to come and experience Jerusalem. I do tourism, and also now I'm taking on a new role as developing employment and quality employment in the city, because we have a lot of very underprivileged population groups that need better employment opportunities, and this is another thing that I'm trying to do with different companies around the world to come and open up businesses in Jerusalem.
All right, tell me, what do you know about Biafra?
You know, when I was little, I remember hearing about the conflict, and I remember my parents telling me about the terrible genocide going on in Biafra and about the children of Biafra. And since then, I understand that there's an identity that's kind of been swallowed up to a bigger country, and I'm very aware of the Igbo tribes, because I have a friend who's very involved in that work, trying to bring together all the different communities around the world that consider themselves to have Israelite heritage, and how we can embrace these communities from around the world. So I'm actually very involved in trying to help in this mission.
Absolutely, and this is what we are looking for, and this is what we are talking about. If you are joining us right now anywhere around the world, I am here in the studio with the Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem, and of course her name is Fleur Hassan Nahom. She is my guest, an August, should I call it an August guest or something, because we never scheduled this, it just happened. She honors us, and we are so privileged to have her in the studio.
In Hebrew we say min hashamayim, from the heavens.
From the heavens, and I can agree, I can attest to that. You know something, I'm here in Israel, I feel at home. You know, I feel attached to Israel because of the history. There are things that we do as Biafrans that sometimes we don't know where it came from. But when I came to Israel, I began to see, wow, so this is where all this came from. We circumcise at 8 days, just the same way they do here in Israel. Everything is just the same. So we feel so attached, and this is why we say, where is the first place for us to go and ask for help? Israel comes to mind, because this is the people we feel that we have gone through the same thing. The Prime Minister Netanyahu, when he was giving a speech on the Holocaust last year, he is the first Prime Minister or world leader that have mentioned Biafra as the same people who have suffered the same fate with the Jewish nation. I mean, we were slaughtered more than almost 5 million. The figures might be somehow displaced, but we were slaughtered. 5 million men, women, and children, and the same fate with the Jewish nation. Now, I say to myself, there cannot be just only one Jewish nation in the world. There has to be an ally. And Biafra is that ally that Israel is looking for.
I think you're more than allies. I think we're family.
Absolutely.
And the fact that you feel at home in Israel is very important for us. First of all, to be seen by the world as a nation that embraces different people and different people who've had similar narratives and similar experiences. And I think that with the lessons that we learned from our own genocide, we have a responsibility to embrace other peoples around the world and share the experiences, and share also how to bring the collective memory of a people into the forefront of their narrative. And that's a very, very important thing.
All right. I need you to tell me this. Now, I could be wrong, but you tell me if I'm wrong. Now, for me, my concept of Biafra is this. When I think Biafra, I think security of life, property, and the people. Because when people has gone through genocide, you are not interested in the resources. You're not interested in all the natural resources you have. What you are interested in is life. You said never again. That is my concept of Biafra. But people misunderstand the fact that what we are fighting for is not about the resources. We know the oil that Nigeria have is in our nation, in our land. But it's not our priority. We just want to live. Because as I'm talking to you right now, Biafrans are being slaughtered every day. Our land is being invaded. And I believe that the best way we can protect lives and property in Biafra is to have a boundary. To say, this is where it stops. If you cross over here, then now this is aggression. What is your take on that?
I'm not well learned about your conflict to give an opinion. But look, in life, the most important thing is basic needs. And basic needs is security. Absolutely. And food, and the feeling of being secure. I believe that every nation deserves self-determination. Absolutely. And I believe every nation or every people deserves security and well-being. And so any nation that seeks that is a friend of Israel. I believe that every nation deserves self-determination, including the Palestinians. I just think that they've had terrible, terrible leadership. Absolutely. That has not allowed them to get to where they should have been. But I believe, as a person who comes from Gibraltar, where we fought many years for self-determination, my father was the leader of Gibraltar, he was the chief minister of Gibraltar, and he fought for the most important thing. They decided they wanted to be British, but they decided what they wanted to be. And that's important. The Jewish people deserve self-determination, and every nation deserves self-determination.
Awesome, awesome. Let me digress a bit. Gibraltar, you said.
Yeah.
I've heard about the Rock of Gibraltar.
That's
What is that?
It's a rock. It's a huge rock. You're driving down from Spain and you look and all of a sudden you see a big rock jutting out of the water.
I was hearing it from childhood. I'm like, the rock of Gibraltar.
You have to come and visit. It's
Absolutely.
what separates Europe from Africa.
Africa.
Yeah,
My
the Straits of Gibraltar.
All right. Have you heard about Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra?
I've heard about him, yes. I don't know a lot about him, but I have heard the name.
All right. He is a man that has seen it all. Now, I can tell you this with all certainty, with all sincerity. The reason why we are following that man, he is incorruptible. Because, you know, in this world, it's difficult to find a man that you can trust. It's all about trust. You told me about bad leaders.
Yeah.
That is why probably Palestine is where they are today.
Yeah.
Because if they have people who have the interest of the people, who can negotiate for
If
the
they
people.
would have had a Nelson Mandela, they wouldn't be where they are right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because Nelson Mandela just got a deal for the people.
He wasn't after his own benefit.
Absolutely.
He wasn't after his own lining his pocket. And I think that's the most important thing. A good leader has to have integrity. That's really the most important thing, and integrity means honesty, and it means that you're there for the people. It's very easy for leaders to be corrupted, but the great leaders are incorruptible. So I'm very happy that you guys have the privilege to have a leader which is incorruptible.
We have a leader that is so incorruptible, but you know, we are so, we are, I don't know how to put it. Every day we like cry for him because he has gone through a lot.
I can imagine.
They came to kill him. I'm talking about soldiers. He has to flee for his life.
Of course.
His father's home, he's a prince. His father is a king. The home was destroyed and everything.
Where is he now?
He's in the UK because he's also a British citizen.
Yeah, like
and
me.
Also
I'm also British.
He's also a British citizen.
Tell him to come to Israel.
He's been here. Here was his first
I
stop.
know, I heard.
He has to come here first.
He should come. I'll tell him that he's invited to come to Jerusalem, and I'll give him my own personal private tour of Jerusalem when he comes.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell him that. You can bet on it. So, what will you tell Biafrans because they are crying for peace? In our own case, we are the most peaceful organization, the indigenous people of Biafra. We've never picked up arms. We've never fought anybody. All we do is carry our flag and say, we want to be on our own, period.
I think peace comes first and foremost from the grassroots. You know, politicians can sign any agreement in the world, but if people, neighbors, can't get along or don't have peace in their day-to-day, then it doesn't really mean anything.
Absolutely.
So I think the best thing can be done is the stuff that we do in Jerusalem with the Arab residents of the city. Try and create grassroots activities for economic prosperity, economic development, and shared society. If you can do that, peace will be a byproduct of good neighborly relations. And that's the only thing I can tell you from the model that we're developing in Jerusalem.
And that sounds beautiful. And if you are listening to me right now, like I said, I am here. I'm going to try to call this name again the third time, and I hope I'm not going to mess it up.
Thank you.
The name is Flair Hassan Nahom.
Thank you so much.
She is the deputy mayor of Jerusalem. And we always say that Jerusalem is the eternal capital city of the Jewish nation. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. And I'm honored this morning, of course, to have her here in our midst. And before I let her go, what advice can you give to Biafrans once again? Because why I'm asking you this is this. Our people have gone through a lot. People, you know, it's like we are abandoned. Our genocide is the only untold genocide in the whole world. How can you kill people 5 million and nobody talk about it? It's not documented.
So we have to start talking about it. Collective memory is a very important part of creating an identity for a people. The first thing that the Jews always do is remember. So we remember Egypt, we remember coming out of Egypt. It's entrenched in our religion, but also in the modern state of Israel.
Absolutely.
So what I would say is that you have to find ways of memorializing,
We did
remembering.
it. 30th of May.
Amazing.
We had a memorial day. 30th of every year, 30th of May, we sit at home. The reason why we sit at home in Biafra land is because if you come out on the street, they will kill you.
Yeah.
But we sit at home, shut down everything.
Find ways to have permanent memorials and at the same time not stay stuck in the past, but always look towards the future. That's what I would say. And I'm happy to help in anything that you need.
All right. Thank you very much. And of course, I am so honored to have you this morning. And of course, that is Flair Hassan Nahom, Deputy Mayor of Jerusalem, Foreign Relations. And of course,
Thank you for having me.
This is privilege. No, thank you for coming. How do you say it again from heaven?
Min Hashamayim.
Min Hashamayim. Mean that she came from heaven.
Not quite. I came from Jerusalem, but anyway, it's almost the same.